Clemson. It's got North Carolina in the ACC title game. They are 7.5-point favorites, are the Tigers. Now, Clemson, like I already said, hurting a little bit from that South Carolina loss. Lost the Palmetto Bowl. Never good to lose to your rival. And Clemson hadn't done that in 7 tries. They were going for an 8-peat. Didn't get it done. Shane Beamer and company had other plans. This is a chance for them to take back the ACC. Because Clemson, we kind of think about them as being that top dog. Well, they didn't win the ACC last year, actually. That was Pitt. So Clemson's trying to get back that belt. I promise they'll be locked in. They're going to bounce back emotionally. They'll have the good psyche about themselves. They're going to be ready for this game. And that's important because guess who they got rolling into town? The boy wonder, Drizzy Drake May, return of the Mack Brown. I mean, they are able to do a lot of good things offensively. And the matchups in this game are very interesting to break down. But I promise you, for North Carolina, what an opportunity for their program. I mean, what an opportunity. This is their chance to prove they have arrived. To slay the dragon, take down the big dog more or less in the ACC over the last few years. This would be a program-defining win to this point for the North Carolina Tar Heels. Be a whole lot of fun to break down. If you have not yet subscribed to this channel, we'd love to have you at the party. We do content every single day. We go live on Tuesday. We go live on Thursday, giving you predictions, giving you analysis. Like everything college football happens here on a daily basis. So we'd love to have you, all right? Make sure you also follow me on the social channels at JD Piquel on Twitter and on Instagram. The hinge points for this one. Can DJ Uiagalelei cash in? A lot of times we talk about Clemson. Can they do enough around DJ to be successful? Can they give him enough help? Well, last week, they gave him a lot of help. I mean, the defense, did they play their best game? No, they kind of got taken advantage of in the secondary. We'll talk about that. Only allowed 54 yards rushing. The defense really held their water as long as they could. When you say offensively, okay, well, what'd they do offensively? Well, they ran the ball for over 200 yards. Will Shipley is a monster. Phil Maffa is an absolute dog off the leash. Like, they got some guys on that offense. But DJ Uiagalelei threw for 99 yards. You can run for a lot of yards. That's great. When you don't have something to counter with, when you're not able to take advantage of those safeties creeping up and those linebackers getting nosy and trying to support the run, like if you can't make them pay on the back end for that, you got problems. And that was exactly what happened last week for Clemson. Ran for 237 yards. Now, North Carolina, they're not very good against the run. Allowing 180 yards a game on the ground, 4.6 yards per carry. I don't need to elaborate too much on that. That's bad. And so Clemson, they're going to be able to take advantage of that. They're going to be able to run the football. I think it's going to be a very similar number. I would imagine they're somewhere in the range of 200 yards. Can you capitalize? Can you throw the haymaker when you got those safeties creeped up? That is going to be crucial. Because if they can't, you allow North Carolina to kind of hang in the game. Even more importantly, with those safeties creeping up, they can creep up because it doesn't matter. You're not going to be able to connect behind us, brother. That's kind of the game we're playing here. We can commit more resources to the run game because you can't make us pay in the pass game. Now, if they can, that would be huge for Clemson and could break this game wide open. Here's the matchup I'm watching, though. The Clemson secondary against, like I said, boy wonder, Drake May, and his go-to wide receiver, Josh Downs. Josh Downs, a special player, going to make a whole lot of money in the NFL very, very shortly. Drake May, give him another year or two, he'll be doing the same. South Carolina beat Clemson through the air. I mean, Juice Wells had well over 100 yards. They just fed him like the Gerber baby. Spencer Rattler has had a ton of criticism around him. He balled out too, threw 2 picks, but still did a great job commanding the offense and making plays downfield, feeding his playmakers. We say it a lot in upset kind of games. This wouldn't be an upset, I guess, because it's only a 7.5-point favorite. But it's not about having all the matchups. It's about having one and just absolutely making the opposition pay. That's what South Carolina did last week with Juice Wells and Spencer Rattler. Is that the same song, second verse for North Carolina? Because the table's set. I would argue Josh Downs is a potentially more dangerous receiver than Juice Wells. Not to knock Juice Wells, but Josh Downs has been doing his thing here for a minute at the FBS level. Juice Wells just transferred from James Madison. All right? So I'm just saying, if you thought Juice Wells could hurt you, you better watch the tape. You better get right quick, fast, in a hurry, because Josh Downs will make you pay. Can North Carolina do that same kind of thing? Can North Carolina follow the blueprint that South Carolina set for them? If they can, this game's going to get interesting. Now, if they can't, if that's not the kind of game that North Carolina is able to play, well, then guess what? The Clemson front seven, they get to control the game. They get to dictate how this whole thing is going to go. Because North Carolina, as good as they are throwing the football, they're not great rushing. I mean, they're not phenomenal. I mean, the Clemson front seven, even more so, is one of the best teams in the country in terms of stopping the run. Have a whole lot of guys that will play on Sundays. So if they're able to impact the game, North Carolina is going to be hurting a little bit. Here's the difference maker for me. Third down. I don't know if you want to call this a backbreaker, but I think it's one of the most important stats we're going to talk about. Clemson is 48% offensively on third down. That's really good. Now, the North Carolina defense are not very good. 85th in the country, allowing 41% conversion rate on third down. So here's why that's interesting to me. For all the things that we've said about DJ Uiagalelei and all the criticism that he's gotten that quite honestly is warranted, I think in this kind of game with that third down number, you would be able to, one, set up favorable third downs so you can run the football and give them a 3rd and 2, give them a 3rd and 3. I think it also gives this Clemson offense a little bit more of a approach they can take to where DJ doesn't have to throw for 300 yards. He might be able to go for 150 as long as it's the right kind of 150. 150, 2 touchdowns, no picks. That's the kind of game that I think DJ Uiagalelei can play and Clemson could eventually win. Because if you're converting on third down at that kind of a clip, you don't need elite DJ. You just need to be able to run the football and hit play action. Now, he still has to do his job in hitting on play action, but I think with how bad North Carolina is on third down, it could kind of be the Achilles heel for them. No pun intended. So here's the prediction for this game. I think Clemson's going to learn from what they did last week. We've seen them be able to bounce back, I feel like, relatively quickly. When we've seen them have bad games against Wake Forest, they come back and their secondary looks great. I mean, the secondary, I feel like, will be able to get their footing and look a lot better than they did against South Carolina. I do think Dabo Swinney is one of the best coaches in the country still. Going to have this team motivated. I think DJ's not going to lose his confidence. I think he plays well enough in the run game. Yet again, has a phenomenal day for Clemson. And I think the ground control allows Clemson to win the time of possession and keep Drake May watching a lot of this game on the sideline. So at the end of the day, I got Clemson winning this game 38-24. So we're taking Clemson to bounce back, win, and we're taking Clemson to cover that as Clemson is once again atop the ACC. They are your conference champions. Hey, y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.